Hey guys, Dave here again from GetKombucha.com. Today we're going to talk about kombucha and caffeine. Okay, so first off, people ask us all the time at GetKombucha.com, what's the deal with caffeine? Does kombucha contain caffeine, and if it does, how much? And if it does, is there any way to make it so it doesn't? Okay, so first off, pretty much, as far as I know, everything out on the market today, for instance, if you go to a Whole Foods and buy a bottled kombucha, it will in fact contain caffeine simply because they're brewing their kombucha with tea leaves. And quickly, just to touch on tea, what is tea? When we talk about tea, we're talking about the Camellia sinensis plant, in which all tea comes from. We'll be doing some more future videos specifically about tea and Camellia sinensis, but just know this. Camellia sinensis is tea. So when we talk about chamomile and peppermint and herbal teas and lemongrass, we're not talking about tea in the true definition, because it doesn't come from this Camellia sinensis plant. Now, Camellia sinensis, by default, has caffeine in it. So any tea, black tea, green tea, oolong, white tea, pu'ers, is going to have caffeine in it, at least originally. Now, there's some methods to decaffeinate tea. One, especially in the commercial, process is these chemicals that strip away the caffeine. But if you're home and you just want to make some decaffeinated tea, simply take regular tea leaves, rinse it under water for about 5 seconds, and about 80 to 95% of the caffeine will just be rinsed away. And then go ahead and brew that tea as you normally would. That's a little trick in case you want to impress your friends. In case someone comes to your house and is sensitive to caffeine, works with coffee as well. Just rinse off the coffee beans for a few seconds and you're good to go. Okay, so yes, so kombucha tea does have caffeine, at least in the commercial sense. Now, how much caffeine does it have? Well, it varies, but it's very similar to tea. Tea has about 50 milligrams of caffeine per serving. That, again, varies depending on what type of tea you use. It also varies on how long you steep your tea for. It also varies on how much tea you use. Okay, but traditionally, to make it, sometimes it's good to compare something. So a cup of brewed tea, a mug of tea, an 8-ounce cup of tea, let's say, has about half the amount of caffeine as an 8-ounce cup of brewed coffee. Again, in general. Okay, kombucha has a little less because some of the caffeine is lost during the fermentation process. So if tea typically has, like your fresh brewed tea typically has half the amount of caffeine as coffee, a fermented kombucha tea has about a quarter to a third of the amount of caffeine as coffee. So people say, well, but that's so little, I feel so much energy on kombucha. Well, there's other things going on in kombucha besides the caffeine. A lot of people also say they feel like lightheaded and loopy and drunk on kombucha, and they heard that kombucha does in fact contain some trace amounts of alcohol, so they think, well, how much alcohol is in this stuff? So you're feeling these awesome effects, you know, this energy or this loopiness, but not from the caffeine content or the alcohol content of kombucha. Both are relatively low. However, there are people, such as my mom, who are very sensitive to caffeine, and they've contacted us at GetKombucha.com asking for alternative ways to brew kombucha without having that caffeine in there. This is the way to do it. You want to use a product called rooibos or honeybush. Okay, rooibos and honeybush come from a South African redbush, which is not from the Camellia sinensis family. Thus, it does not have caffeine in it. However, it still has many of the characteristics of tea, of Camellia sinensis, all of which help and are the same benefits of brewing for your kombucha culture. Okay, so simply use rooibos or honeybush instead of your traditional black tea or green tea when preparing your tea for brewing kombucha. do not use, it does not give you a license to start using peppermint or chamomile or lemongrass or any other herbal tea or tisane, as if you want to, again, impress your friends, because those teas either have essential oils that are not good for the brewing of your kombucha. It's okay to add afterwards, or they just don't have the characteristics that rooibos has to provide food for your culture. Rooibos and honeybush can both be found at GetKombucha.com. In fact, we made it very easy for you if you're also curious about what teas in general to use for brewing kombucha. If you go to GetKombucha.com on the left-hand side of our site, click on teas. We actually have a whole category that just says, teas for brewing kombucha. I don't know, there's no hand going like that. We're still working on that technology. But go there, check it out. We have currently 2 different versions of rooibos. One is a red rooibos, one is a green rooibos, which is a very similar to like green rooibos, green tea, red rooibos, black tea. So if you want more of a higher antioxidants and a more of a, I guess, subtle kombucha taste, go with the green tea. If you like that real strong astringency that you get out of black tea, go with the red rooibos. And honeybush, which is kind of like the illegitimate cousin of rooibos, is very similar to rooibos. Again, no caffeine, and offers a little sweeter taste. What I do actually is, not for kombucha brewing, but for my own enjoyment of brewing a hot tea, is combine red rooibos with honeybush. Mix the 2 together. Okay, hope that helps. Keep the questions coming. Until then, happy brewing, and if you haven't done so already, sign up for our free 7-day mini course at GetKombucha.com. It gives you the history of kombucha. It gives you about 13 or 14 of my horrible jokes and sense of humor, and as well as a recipe for brewing your own kombucha at home. Okay, thanks a lot.